So this one goes out to Restoration Vineyards in western Colorado. I was attending one of their Facebook Live presentations a few days ago, and they made a call for recipes that could be paired with their wine. I knew I had some Linguica inbound from the East Coast, and so I thought this was going to be a perfect one. We call this Fisherman stew in the family, and it's got shrimp and cod in it, but the other protein is traditionally in our family a spicy Italian sausage, but I knew I had this Linguica coming. Linguica is a Portuguese sausage, smoked and really, really flavorful. As it gives up fat, it can flavor everything else in the dish. So we're going to add some onions, a red, a green, and a yellow pepper, some San Marzano tomatoes, a little chicken stock, and this recipe calls for wine. Unfortunately, I don't have any Restoration wine in my cellar currently, but I did have about a cup and a half of the storm cellar off dry Riesling handy, so that's going to go in there along with some water. I'll start with some veggie prep, which means I got to dice these fairly small, right? They're going in a soup. And so through the magic of video editing, you can see that I have diced a red, a green, and a yellow pepper into small pieces. And now I'm going to get after these onions. The onions and the garlic are going to go into a different container than the peppers do because they go into the stew at slightly different times. It's a lot of onion, and that's good because this is a very flavorful stew. Abuse that. Please, Tammy Doring, help me, because I'm tired of abusing heads of garlic. Now I got to get after this Linguica. It's a smoked sausage, so you can dice it and cut it up however you want. And what I do is basically cut it down the middle and then dice it from there, and you end up with 3/4 inch long and 1/2 inch wide pieces through the magic of video editing. I'm almost done with that, and it'll be time to get after our stock pot. In the stock pot, we're going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil. Linguica is pretty fatty, but until it gives up its fat, I need something to lubricate this. So the Linguica is going in there. This is very aromatic also, by the way, when you cook, so if you choose to use Linguica, expect your house to smell like a Portuguese diner. Once we've got that rendering a bit, we're going to add the onions and garlic, and the point here is to get the onions to soften a bit. We don't want crunchy onions in our stew, so we'll give that a little toss. Now that the fat is rendering, that'll help cook the onions down quite a bit, and the garlic is getting pretty aromatic with all this also. Once we feel like we've gotten that where we want it, it's time for the red and the green and the yellow pepper. And we're going to toss that around a little bit and help them soften just a little. And then it is time for the wine. And again, I said I was using that storm cellar that I had on hand because it's the only white I have open. I would typically put about 2 cups of wine in there, but I ended up with about a cup and a half. Now it's time for those San Marzano style tomatoes. These are going to end up coming apart through the cooking process. And then I go with a couple of cups of water because remember, I've still got to cook that fish and that shrimp. Give it a taste. And now it's time for the fish. And after that is going to be the shrimp. And here they go. And then it'll be time for one more taste because I have not added that chicken base yet. And after this taste is when I'm going to decide, you know what, I think I probably need that chicken base. So add about a tablespoon and a half of the chicken base, and we'll be good to go. So bring that back up to a boil and then let simmer for about an hour. You could actually eat it within 15 minutes, but letting the flavors melt for about an hour and simmering will reward you quite a bit. And this is what you end up with. This is fantastic. I recommend serving it with like a French bread or an Italian bread, but boy is it good. Remember, the point of this exercise is to pair it with something from Restoration. So these are the wines that are on their website as of the 24th of April. I don't have any of these in my collection, which is also a problem I have to fix. But my guess would be the Sauv Blanc or the Semillon would pair well because this is a seafood stew. But because it has linguiça in it, I think you could go with a red also, and I think that Barbera would be fantastic. So, Bruns family, over to you guys to pick the ideal pairing, and I'll make sure I order some for shipment to Brighton, Colorado. That I made so much that I'm gonna have some of this in the freezer for a while. There's only 2 of us in the house now, and I made about 3 gallons, it seems like. So, outstanding. When the apocalypse is over, maybe I can bring some out to Western Colorado and we can have some together.